Hey Rabbits, it's Trixie, and today I would like to share a pretty personal story with you. No worries, it is highly related to the usual content of this channel, so it might be interesting for you as well, and maybe it's even gonna open your eyes the same way it opened mine. I would like to tell you about the day when I, someone who loves languages and values the beauty of words, forgot how to speak. No, I'm afraid this is not some sort of analogy that I'm using here right now. This actually happened to me, and I would say this was like the worst health-related experience of my life. Maybe apart from getting hit by a car as a kid, but I would say it was even worse. So let me explain this a little bit more. First of all, during my life, I've struggled from many migraine attacks. I get headaches from basically everything. Smoke, wind, cloudy sky, stress, too much sleep, too little sleep, appetite, certain types of food, heat, cold, staring at screens. But let's say I got used to it. It's annoying, yes, but it's nothing serious and I'm okay. Which is also what I thought back in 2014 on a totally normal morning. Eric and I were on our way to work, both a little tired, a little like, meh, work. When I noticed that I wasn't able to read the name of the upcoming station on the display inside of the bus anymore. Half of the word was covered with this weird grey blur. Like if you stared into the bright sun and then some of the cells in your eyes are destroyed, when you see this blob or dancing worms and you have to wait a little before your sight recovers. Well, it felt exactly like that except for the recovery part. This bus ride takes a while, you know, and even when we had to get out, it wasn't getting better. Quite the opposite, it was getting worse. The small blob covered a larger surface now, so that at the time we arrived at the company, the whole left side of my vision was simply gone. I remember climbing up the stairs and reaching for the banister, but I missed it. My hand was grabbing the air because, well, the banister was on the left side and I didn't see it anymore. And no, this was not related to my left eye. I tried covering it, but when I looked out of my right eye only, there was no difference. No matter whether I used my right eye, my left eye, or both of them, 50% of my vision was gone. There was no left anymore. No left, basically, but back then I wouldn't have found that funny. All this time I had tried to keep my calm. Of course I told Eric about it and he was a bit concerned too, but you know, I'm not the kind of person to freak out easily in these situations, but at that point I got scared. When we finally entered the office, everyone immediately knew that something was wrong with me because I was pale like a ghost and I was walking as if the floor was made out of jello. But you know, the weird thing is that I felt completely fine. No pain, no nausea or anything like that. It was super strange. So now, while Eric started working, one of my colleagues took me outside again for a walk so that I could breathe some fresh air and just rest a little. And I remember that we were sitting down on a bench next to each other when I noticed that it was super difficult for me to form simple sentences and to speak in general. I tried to tell him again what happened, how I felt, but I was constantly lacking words, you know, German words, simple words. Instead of naming one of the bus stations, I ended up saying something about Sprungfedern, elastic springs. I was not in control of my own mouth anymore. The words in my head were not the same words that were coming out of me. So we went back in, I sat down in front of my computer, shaking, confused, always trying to read all the words I saw, but I couldn't. I tried to read out loud what it said on a note, on a to-do list that I had left on my desk, and everything I said was gibberish. Let's say something like da verbaneda, da verbaneda, instead of das Passwort ändern. It was so freaking scary. Now there was no doubt left. I needed to get help. I needed to go to the hospital. Which was obvious in a way, but how do you communicate what's wrong with you when you cannot speak anymore? I wanted to write Eric on Skype, but as much as I tried, I wasn't able to spell words anymore. I ended up sending him a cryptic message that, I don't know, made sense in my brain, which was obviously out of order, but he didn't get anything, just random letters. It was like a storm had devastated the library of words in my head, or everything had simply been put in a blender. All the letters were in the wrong order, some words were gone completely, it was a mess. Eric came back to me and then he and my colleague didn't leave my side anymore. They heard the gibberish I was talking, so someone called a taxi to take me to the hospital. And when we waited for it on the sofa, I noticed that my lips were getting numb. Not that I needed them much. I mean, I was trying not to talk even though I was screaming inside, but yeah, it was getting even worse. And I remember that this was the point where I thought to myself, enjoy this moment because maybe these are your very last sane seconds. It was so weird. My thoughts were all clear, like they were trapped inside my head without the chance to come out as words, as they usually did without problems. The lost vision, the inability to speak, now the numbness spreading all over my face. This was a nightmare. My body was shutting down step by step and all I could do was wait for it. I wondered if this is what a stroke feels like. If I'll ever be myself again, ever make sense again. And if I will survive this in the first place. Well, since I'm sitting here right now, you all know that I did not die and everything luckily went back to normal again. But I can tell you, this was not fun. Eric was allowed to join me when we went to the hospital. I was given an infusion and then finally I noticed that my vision was clearing up. Then slightly later, I was able to talk normally to the doctors again and I felt my face again. I cannot describe how happy and relieved I was. What then struck me was the headache of my life. I have never had such a strong headache before. It made me dizzy, it made me sick. Even the painkillers that they gave me, really strong painkillers, did almost nothing. I just had to wait it out. And turns out this whole system failure had been a migraine attack as well. A certain type of it called an aura. Way too beautiful of a word for what it describes, if you ask me. That day I spent several hours at the hospital before they sent me home. They then told me to have an EEG to check out if there's something, severe going on, which I did some weeks later, but they didn't find anything serious. So what I had was in fact a really strong migraine attack. Even now, after years, I'm thinking back to it very often with like mixed feelings, I would say. On one hand, obviously it was a horrible experience, but on the other hand, it also taught me a lesson. The lesson is that words define a big part of our lives, that languages and communication and simply expressing yourself is so valuable, even more valuable than I thought before. Based on this experience, I chose to use my life to share my thoughts, not have them trapped like they were when I was suffering from the aura. Being able to express yourself, to contribute your creativity to this world is a gift. And that's one reason why I'm drawing, why I'm writing, why I'm sitting here right now filming this video, putting so much love and effort and soul into this channel. Because I got my voice and my words back, and it would be a shame not to spread the message of the power and both the quirks and the beauty of languages. So this was my story. The story of the day when I forgot how to speak. I hope this little story was not too boring for you. I just felt like I wanted to share it because it's like from one language lover to others, and maybe you were able to get something out of it. Now I'm really curious about what you think about all of this. Have you suffered from an aura as well? What would you have done in a situation like this? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. So if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up because that would make me really happy. If you want to watch another video of Don't Trust the Rabbit, maybe not a story time, then you can find one right here. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook, or even support the channel on Patreon. This would mean so much to me. Now I wish you all a very beautiful day. Try to not forget how to speak and hopefully we are gonna see each other in my next video. Bye!